We are now well underway in the building of the 8-foot Amazonia tank. In the last video, we built all the hardscape as well as adding detail to the river floor. In my research with underwater footage, it very often shows that the floor of the river is nowhere near as clean as everyone thinks, and there is always debris, gravel, stones, leaf litter, and huge amounts of detail. What's going on, beautiful people? Today we are going to be transforming this monstrosity into something I have visualized in my head. If it turns out anything like I'm imagining, I think you're going to love it. Now, in the last video, I did receive a lot of messages of people saying, don't overplant the tank. And you know, my answer to that is, do you even know what channel you're on? I love overplanting tanks. I do it for a couple of reasons. First one being, it just looks awesome. Actually, there's three reasons. It looks awesome. Really good for the fish health because the tank just looks after itself. And the third thing is the more plants, the greater the chance of a really good startup of the tank, less algae. The plants are consuming all of the nitrates, you know, ammonia as well, and nitrite. You know, they're using it all to grow, which means the water quality stays perfect or near to perfect. Sometimes it just goes crazy for no reason. Well, there's always a reason, but you just don't know. And if we can get those plants using all the nutrients in the water column, it means there isn't anything left for algae to grow. There'll always be some, of course, especially diatoms to start with. You tend to get a lot of those. Hopefully we won't in this one because we've already used like this substrate before, the rocks and everything like that. Even now, the water level there's still a tiny bit of water in there, so there'll still be some beneficial bacteria. So we're technically not starting completely fresh, although I will be cleaning out the filters completely and starting those all again. And remember, I've been doing my research, and from what I've seen, there are areas of the river systems that have got tons of plants. Now, when you say the Amazon River, remember it's not just a little river, it's absolutely huge. So you're gonna get areas where there's tons of plants, where there's very little plants in the deeper areas because the sunlight can't penetrate down far enough. You're gonna get areas where there's full tannins and there's just leaf litter. You know, every type, to be honest, of aquarium would be there somewhere. So you can't really do it wrong. But I'm going for that traditional feel. Big leaf plants, you know, for all the tetra, the right kind of cichlids as well. I think it will look really cool. So what's the plan then? Well, we've got our jewel island. That's technically not how I'm planting it though. This area is gonna have a massive amount of plants. At some point, they're gonna reach all the way up to the surface as well. And then I'm gonna bring all the plants out into the foreground, the shorter ones with creeping sort of liliopsis as well. So it gives us a nice carpet, one that we don't actually have to keep trimming. It'll just let it grow. And then as we taper down, I'm looking to bring the plants down shorter so that in that background area, we start to bring it down and we've still got this huge negative space in the center here. And then over this side, I'll still be planting because we want that area of refuge for the fish to be able to know they can go over to. Originally, we're just gonna keep it clear so that there wasn't anything here, but someone made a great point. If we did that, wouldn't they all just stay over this area? You'd just see the occasional fish. Well, if we bring plants all over here as well, they'll be able to see that area and then you'll get them traveling between the two islands. And I think that area in the middle there is gonna be like a really cool highlight of the whole tank. You're seeing quite a few reflections of things at the moment. I can't do a huge amount about that, but when the water's in and the plants are, it'll be much better. Now, speaking of plants, we took a nice big delivery. So I've got tons to choose from in here. Yeah, we're a bit misted up, but I mean, in case you missed that episode, look at all of that lot in there. Tons of big leafed Echinodoros, loads of plants down here that will creep everywhere. We've got grasses, we've got bigger leafed, well, technically this one's Halanthemum bolivium, I think. Yeah, bolivium, something like that. But to me, it just looks like a mini Echinodoros, so that's just gonna carry on the theme as well. Let me get these out. We can't really see them here, can we? There we go, guys. Look at this lot. This definitely wasn't gonna be a build where I said, you know, I'll just get a few plants to start with. We've got absolutely tons here. We've got foreground, we've got mid-ground, and then we've got background as well. So there's a ton of Echinodoros here of all different varieties. There's about 3 in total of the taller ones. And then I just went for like red pearls here. We've got ocelot red, just to add that little bit of color. I mean, they're not massively red now, but under the right lighting, with some CO2 we're gonna be putting in as well. This is the only tank that I run with CO2, by the way, guys, in the whole studio. Hopefully you can see. So there's like a tube at the back that it runs down. It's all disconnected at the moment and not running, and it hasn't been running for a long time, but I'm gonna get it going again to start this tank off because I want it to be insane. So I think the best bet is gonna be to start off at the back of the tank and get the background plants in first, and then sort of pull our way forwards. I'm gonna work on this section on its own to start with. I think there's too much to try and tackle everything. But that does mean that I've got to make sure when I'm like picking out the plants that I'm putting some aside for the other island. I have actually got even more plants in this if I need as well, so we're not shy of plants. Don't overplant it. And as always, I buy my plants from Aquafleur. If your shop hasn't got them, ask them to get them. I mean, look at the quality of that. And that's from like a week ago I took delivery as well. So good. Oh, and you might have also noticed there are already some plants in here. These are just what was left in the substrate after I ripped everything out. And I thought, well, then they're not hurting. They're adding to the whole sort of look and feel of everything. So just leave them. This one's starting to grow out of the water as well. It's been about a week since I planted, no, not planted, since I took everything out in this aquarium because I went away with the family. But now we're back and I'm ready to crack on again. The first job though is plant prep. I'm not gonna do them all in one go because I'll just get confused, there'll be mess everywhere. I'm just gonna take them apart as I go. Very easy to do. You just take them out of the basket they're in and just remove that rock wool. Remove as much as you can. You don't have to get every last bit off. I mean, if you can be bothered to do that, then fair play to you, but I'll just scrape most of it off with a fork and then I can plant it in. Whoops. Now you're gonna struggle to be able to sit, oops, no, I need that. Yeah, so you're gonna struggle to see what I'm doing here, but basically I'm putting the biggest leaf plants right at the back because obviously that makes sense. And I'm using my hands to put it in, to be honest, because it's so much easier with Echinodoros because I've got these big root systems and you just plant it like a normal sort of plant you would in your garden, push it in and then just compact the sand around it. Oh. It looks lovely. Then I've got the Echinodoros Belleri as well, which will grow nice and tall. Trying to do it with the tweezers there just doesn't work. I've just got to get right in there, which is quite difficult in this tank, but fortunately this area is raised. I definitely want some poking out the side as well. Got to be a bit careful because they're big plants, so you have to give them a decent amount of space. They also use tons of nutrients in their root systems as well. So yeah, in these areas, I'm definitely going to be putting root tabs in just to make sure that there's enough nutrients. Ah, well, I'm sure that was really interesting for you to watch. They're quite short at the moment, but they are going to grow so fast. And within, I'm going to say 2 to 3 weeks, that all of those plants that are planted, about 5 there, they're all going to be up above the wood line. Eventually, they're going to be at the surface. I'll crack on now with the stuff in the background that you can't see. Ooh, there we go. There's all the big boy plants. I mean, yeah, you can't really see too much just yet. You can see it a little bit better over here because obviously there's less wood. But yeah, just a little outcrop behind them. And then I can fill in gaps that I've left, like down here, with some other sort of mid-ground versions of the plants. Not versions of the plants, but Echinodoros. Yeah, Echinodoros Marti is this one here. And it's so vibrant. It doesn't go quite as vibrant as this once this underwater growth comes through. But it's such a beautiful plant. It actually grows quite tall. Yeah, here it is over in my triple tank. Hello, Mr. Garami. Yeah, this is it here. So it stays kind of narrow and just sort of trails out. And you can keep it short if you want, because when you get any longer leaves, you can just trim them at the base and new stuff grows out. I just like letting it go wild though, as with all my tanks. Oh, that's already looking cool. I love that. Like, you can see the wood, which is something that you guys aren't used to with me when I'm planting a tank. But again, from my research, I looked and there's not really epiphyte plants, you know, plants that stick to wood and grow on a rhizome. From the footage that I'd seen, what I do see is a lot of algae on the wood. So, I mean, we don't want that too much, but if there's a little bit, that'll be absolutely fine. It'd be such a shame to not see the wood structure. So for this one, there's no epiphytes, there's no moss, there's nothing like that. All the plants going to be growing up and around it, but you still have these dart holes, look, like down there, to scoot in underneath and that. Oh, it's going to be so cool. Right, next I'm going to move on to some mid-ground plants now. Well, we've kind of done some mid-ground plants with the Echinodorus marti there, but I'm talking like other Echinodorus, the ones that are going to give us those red tones and pops. I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to place them sort of everywhere, and it'll just add interest in all the specific areas. Now I've got here the Echinodorus Red Pearl. So it stays really short, but really vibrant and red. I think that's going to look so good in the foreground area. So yeah, I want it on show, so that's why I put it there. A bit deeper actually. That's going to grow so good. And then another one on the side as well. We're going to have foreground plants as well as these, but I think these, like in and amongst the finer leafed textures, will look so beautiful. And then some more in this section as well. Trying to keep them in areas where there's full light, because that's what really gets the red popping, is the light intensity. If I put it in the shaded bits, it'll still grow, but nowhere near how good it could be. And you know your plant wants to grow red when even its root systems have got red in them as well. I've not really seen that before. Pretty cool. Now next up is the Echinodorus Ocelot Red. Now it's called Ocelot because of these little sort of flecks in the leaves. It can grow actually quite tall, so it's not really a foreground plant, but it's just going to add more colours to the background area. And we mustn't forget to spray everything down because it's drying out pretty quickly. I'm in a very humid room here, so well, humid should mean it stays moist, but it's hot as well. It's hot outside today, and they're drying out quite fast. But we'll be filling up soon, so that's, well, not soon, but after we've done the foreground and carpeting plants. So that's big plants done. Now, at the moment, it doesn't look like a lot, does it? But you just wait, like, imagine what we've got here times like 5 in 3 to 4 weeks. It's gonna be huge, it's gonna look insane. The fish are going to love it. So one of the main foreground plants is going to be this Liliopsis. This is the Novia Zealandi version, but it basically looks almost the same as Brasiliensis, which makes sense for what we're doing. So that's the Liliopsis prepped. Basically took them all out of their baskets and then split them into 2. So we've got like double the amount there. And that should be enough. And what I want to do is sort of have it on the edges of everything sporadically, and then a good section in the middle here that tapers into the other side and just sort of ties those bits all in together. Not completely, some sand and that on show as well, because our cories are going to love that. But yeah, this is the sort of binder I'm classing it as, that binds the 2 islands. Looking good. And then next up, it's our hairgrass. Eleocharis acicularis, I think that's how it's pronounced. Look at that. It's like a little troll. And last but not least, the Helamphion bolivian. I'm struggling. Bolivian, that one. Right, and there we have it. I can fill it up. I am so hot, up and down this ladder. It's actually a lot of work doing this. Like, it looks quite smooth, I suppose, on video, but it's been half a day and I'm actually pretty exhausted. But look at that middle section now. I've merged the hairgrass and the Liliopsis as well, and they should all merge in as one. It should look pretty cool. And we've still got that nice clear sand area in the middle, which should attract out some of the cories, which is awesome. Oh, I'm just gonna fill it up. And a tank this size takes about 3 hours to fill up because the water pressure isn't huge, but it's best to do it slow anyway, isn't it? Right, I filled the tank halfway. We're getting to the end of the day, and I noticed a little bit of movement on the wood. I've got a couple of rocks I put in as well, look, just to hold it down. I think if I just leave it halfway for now, let them soak overnight, because the majority of the wood is in the water, and then by tomorrow they won't be like as buoyant and I can just fill it up then. But yeah, so far so good. The water's actually remained quite clear considering the fact that there's no filters or flow on. So that's a really good start. We'll see tomorrow though, I might come in, there might still be some tannins in some of this wood and it might be very murky. And just like that, it is now the next day, and as suspected, we have got some murkiness going on. Now I'm thinking once we top the tank up, it'll sort of like dilute it a bit. Maybe not. I mean, once the filters are running though, it won't be an issue at all. But yeah, first job, continue the filling. I'm pretty sure that wood is now waterlogged. But I'm just going to keep the rocks on for now anyway, because it's not hurting at all. Yeah, it doesn't look great, looks a bit weird, especially this one here. This one doesn't actually look too bad. It looks kind of like it might have just fallen there, but still, I will take them off eventually. But for now, just keep them on there and just keep filling. Well, that's everything filled up, and look at this. Hello, little guy. It's a good job I left a little bit of water at the bottom, because he obviously got in under a rock somewhere, had enough of a puddle, and it's absolutely fine. A gorgeous looking bristlenose there. I wasn't actually going to put any bristlenose in this tank, purely because they do like to munch on the Echinodorus leaves. But you know, one is fine. There's going to be so many plants in here, he's not going to be able to get through all of those, is he? And he'll keep the wood a little bit clear as well. But he's like a honeycomb version. So like, I'm saying it's more than like, there's some bristles right at the top there, so it could well be a young male. But yeah, gorgeous looking fish. I'm very pleased that he managed to survive that, because I had no chance of seeing him. I did take everything out though, didn't I? And I scoured it, I scanned it, and it was empty for quite a while. So I thought I would have seen him, but I guess not. And I'm sure you can see on the time lapse as well, there's lots of snails. They're all over the rock there, there's on the wood. So that's brilliant. We've already got like the start of an ecosystem, and all I've done is fill it up with water. It's amazing what these guys can, survive through. I mean, there was water, don't get me wrong, but it was literally like a tiny little bit. So all the life had obviously gone down into that area. And this is what I was saying as I was collecting out the fish. There's always another fish that you didn't see. So yeah, he's all healthy, he's all good, and he's gone. And as suspected as well, all of the little branches I put down are all floating up to the top. I'm just going to leave them. They're going to sink in their own time. They'll be more manageable then, can place them where I want them. And the same's happened on this side. This piece here is being pinned currently, but it was sort of laid down. And I think that will just, waterlog and lay down on its own, so I don't need to really interfere. They'll all do that, but how are these going to fall? I don't know. It looks very weird at the moment, look, nothing moving. And yeah, it's misty, but that will clear when we sort out the filters. So speaking of filters, we have got an FX6 on this side and an FX6 on this side as well. Now they're currently full of water, which is my fault. I completely forgot about them. That water in the filters will be like putrid. It will absolutely stink, because it's been well over a week of like no flow going for them, and all the bacteria in there would have pretty much died, I would have thought. Well, most of it anyway. So what I'm gonna have to do is take those both out, drain them off, sort of build them all again. And that's something for the next video. We've got quite a few things to do coming up in the next video as well. So we've got the filters to sort, the CO2 to sort at the back. We're gonna get the flow going awesome. I've also got another pump to be able to put in, not a pump, a wave maker. Oh, our friend's back, hello. Hello. He's like, this whole tank just for me? You shouldn't have. Yeah, we're gonna get a wave maker in there, so we've got fast flow, just like what we're seeing in the underwater footage as well, because a lot of the stuff I was seeing was just very, very fast flowing, and I think that's gonna suit the tank a lot. And then when we've done that and got the tank clear, we can put some of the fish back in as well. So yeah, lots coming up. Make sure you subscribe and follow in and all that, and I'll see you on the next one.